They issued a distress call. Only humanity's Hellworlders answered. In the far reaches of the Epsilon Quadrant, far beyond the colonies that most species called home, a distress signal drifted through the void. It was clear, sharp, and filled with urgency. Whoever sent it was desperate, but the galaxy's most powerful civilizations ignored it. They had no interest in helping strangers in distant corners. To them, the signal was trouble, and trouble was expensive. Yet on a small, battered planet in the outer sectors, the signal found ears that were willing to listen. This world was called Hellworld Alpha, and it was unlike any other place in the galaxy. Its surface was a landscape of jagged rocks and glowing lava rivers. Storms of acid rain swept across deserts of cracked, black soil. The air was poisoned and unfit for normal humans, and the temperatures swung from unbearable heat in the day to freezing cold at night. Only the toughest survived here. The people of Hellworld Alpha were called Hellworlders, and they had been shaped by years of surviving the impossible. Their lungs had learned to filter toxic air. Their hands could climb cliffs of jagged obsidian. Their minds were sharp, trained to fix, build, and improvise with anything at hand. While other species relied on fleets of perfect ships, flawless weapons, and endless resources, Hellworlders learned to make miracles from scraps. Commander Selene Rourke stood on the observation deck of the fleet's command ship, the Ashfall. She was tall, with sharp features hardened by years in Hellworld storms and dust storms that could strip flesh in minutes. Her eyes, gray like the skies of her home, scanned the readings of the distress call. "This signal," she said, speaking to her officers, "is not a trick, it's real. And whoever sent it is in trouble that no one else will answer. We see opportunity, opportunity to survive, to prove that humanity is stronger than anything the galaxy imagines. We answer calls that others won't." Yet there was a spark in their hearts, a thrill that came only when danger was paired with challenge. The fleet under Selene's command was small by galactic standards. Their ships were not sleek, new, or perfect. Many were salvaged from wrecks, patched with parts stolen from old mining vessels, and retrofitted with engines that could barely handle long jumps. Yet in the hands of Hellworlders, these ships were more than machines. They were extensions of the crew's resilience, and every engineer, pilot, and mechanic aboard had learned to make them capable of feats that others considered impossible. Selene gave the order, and the fleet prepared to jump into the unknown coordinates of the distress call. Alarms buzzed as magnetic storms in the system rattled sensors. Clouds of debris from old battles threatened navigation. Every member of the crew checked their gear, tightened harnesses, and prepared for what lay beyond. Among the crew was Myra Kane, a young Hellworlder whose parents had died in the acid storms of the northern deserts. She had grown up repairing mining robots and piloting small scout ships in storms where no other human dared to fly. Her hands shook with excitement. This mission was dangerous, yes, but it was the kind of challenge she had trained for all her life. As the fleet jumped, space around them distorted, stars stretching into long streaks. A moment later, they emerged near the coordinates, but the sight that greeted them was unlike anything they had imagined. A star system, once full of life, now lay in ruins. Planets were torn apart. Satellites and stations floated in shattered fragments. The largest planet glowed red and orange, its surface scarred with deep gashes from some unseen force. Smoke and magnetic storms swirled around the remnants of what was once a thriving system. The distress signal still pulsed faintly, coming from a research vessel that appeared half buried in a crater on the planet's surface. The aliens of the galaxy avoided systems like this. It was too dangerous, too unpredictable, but the Hellworlders saw opportunity. Not for glory or wealth, but for survival, pride, and proving that humans could face what no other species would. Selene addressed the crew. "This is what we were trained for. Not easy jobs, not safe jobs, impossible jobs. Look around. The others won't come here. They are too comfortable in their perfect fleets and shiny worlds. We thrive in hell and this system is nothing compared to home. Prepare for boarding operations. Prepare for whatever we find. The distress beacon flickered weakly, struggling to reach them through the storms. Selene sent a boarding team first, using small shuttles. Myra piloted one of them, her nerves steady as she navigated past floating debris and magnetic surges that could tear a shuttle apart. The crew docked with the Lysara and entered the dark, smoke-filled corridors. Inside, the ship smelled of ozone, burned metal, and the faint tang of fear. They found the alien crew weak and injured, struggling to survive in failing life support. The aliens were unlike anything the Hellworlders had seen. Tall, lithe forms with translucent skin that glowed faintly in the low light. Their eyes, huge and unblinking, stared at the humans with disbelief. You are human," one alien whispered, voice quivering. Why would you come here? Others never do." Yet here they were, not only surviving but taking charge in a situation the aliens could not manage alone. While some crew members attended to the injured aliens, others worked to stabilize the Lysara. The ship's AI was partially functional but corrupted. Its systems were incompatible with human tech, yet Hellworlders improvised. Using jury-rigged circuits, magnetic field stabilizers, and sheer persistence, they managed to bring life support back online. Sparks flew, alarms screamed, and corridors filled with smoke, but gradually the ship breathed again. Selene watched the progress, her heart steady. This was her world's strength. In the face of impossible odds, humans survived. In places where others would die, they adapted, improvised, and conquered. The galaxy had underestimated humanity for centuries, assuming that comfort and technology alone defined strength. Hellworlders knew otherwise. As night fell on the red glowing planet outside, Selene's team paused. For the first time they had a chance to breathe. They were on a dead world among wreckage, and yet alive. They had reached where no other species dared to go. The distress call had been answered, not by fleets of perfect ships or advanced AI, but by humans hardened by fire, radiation, and death itself. Selene looked at the horizon through the cracked viewports. Somewhere in the darkness of space, the forces that had destroyed this system waited, unknown and dangerous. The real challenge was yet to come. But for now, the crew of the Ashfall and their Hellworld allies had taken the first step. They had shown the galaxy what humans born in hellish worlds could do. And in the silent hum of restored life support, Myra whispered almost to herself, "We were born for this." Humanity had answered the call, and nothing, not storms, not wreckage, not alien skepticism, would stop them. The Hellworlders had never seen anything like it. As their fleet hovered near the damaged star system, the full scope of the destruction became clear. Planets were shredded, their cores exposed like open wounds. Satellites, stations, and debris drifted in chaotic orbits, colliding silently in the emptiness. The largest planet, a scarred gas giant, glowed red-orange, its surface pocked with craters and fissures. The storms that raged across it were unlike any Hellworld tempest, magnetic, violent, and alive with electricity that danced across the clouds. The distress signal persisted, faint but steady, pulsing from a massive research vessel buried in the planet's crater. Its name, the Lysara, was painted in faded alien letters along the hull. Sparks flew from its damaged circuits, and small explosions left trails of smoke in zero gravity. To any ordinary species, approaching the ship would have been suicide. Yet the Hellworlders saw opportunity. Their homeworlds had taught them to survive where others would die. Every acid storm, every volcanic eruption, every lethal radiation wave they had endured was preparation for this moment. Where other civilizations saw chaos and danger, humanity saw survival, and a chance to show the galaxy what they were capable of. Commander Selene Rourke stood on the bridge of the Ashfall, watching the wreckage on the viewscreen. Her officers were tense, but she could sense excitement mingled with the fear. Hellworlders thrived on this edge. "Prepare boarding teams," Selene ordered. "We are going in. I want a full scan of the ship before we dock. Life support, weapons, propulsion, everything. The aliens are alive, but we don't know for how long. Move fast. Soldiers and miners alike secured boarding shuttles, ready for whatever awaited them inside the Lysara. Lieutenant Jax Torin climbed into his shuttle, adjusting the reinforced harnesses that kept him safe in zero gravity. "I don't like this," he muttered to Myra Kane, who was piloting a nearby craft. "This place, it feels wrong." "Wrong is our specialty. You forget where we come from. Nothing's wrong on Hellworld Alpha that we can't handle." With a skill honed in the twisting storms of her homeworld, she nudged the shuttle into the docking port. The locks engaged with a loud click. Inside, the research vessel was a labyrinth of shadows, smoke, and flashing red lights. The corridors were twisted metal groaning under pressure, systems sparking erratically. The air smelled of ozone, burnt circuits, and fear. In the distance, the faint sound of a life support alarm echoed, reminding everyone of the urgency. The alien crew of the Lysara was gathered in the main chamber, weak and disoriented. They were tall and thin, with translucent skin that glowed faintly. Their eyes were enormous and unblinking, reflecting both confusion and disbelief at the humans in front of them. "You are human," one whispered, his voice trembling. Why would you come here? Others never do." They had grown up hearing stories of humans, reckless, primitive, incapable of navigating deep space without a fleet of support. And yet, here were humans, surviving in the system that had killed everything else. They had come alone. While some of the crew attended to the injured aliens, others began assessing the ship's systems. The AI was partially functional but corrupted, its voice distorted and glitching. Sensors flickered, and the life support system was failing. Even for the alien crew, who were advanced in technology far beyond humans in theory, the situation seemed hopeless. But the Hellworlders thrived in hopelessness. They worked quickly, improvising with whatever they had. Engineers rewired circuits using scrap metal and jury-rigged processors, stabilizing the failing life support. Soldiers reinforced weakened bulkheads with metal plates torn from cargo sections. Pilots navigated gravity distortions in the halls caused by damage to the ship's engines. Each problem they faced, they solved with ingenuity that no other species could match. Selene moved through the ship with confidence, checking on the progress. She saw Myra delicately connecting alien power conduits to improvised stabilizers. Jax was helping a wounded alien scientist onto a stretcher, his massive hands surprisingly gentle. All around her, humanity's resilience shone through. But the moment of relief was brief. As the last of the life support stabilizers hummed to life, a new danger appeared on the sensors. A massive object moving at impossible speed approached the planet. The AI core of the Lysara picked up the readings and issued a garbled warning. Threat, massive, unknown. Not like anything we've seen before, advanced, deadly, it's coming right for us. While the aliens scrambled in fear, humans organized a plan. They would use the debris field around the planet as cover, bait the warship into unstable magnetic storms, and fight with ingenuity rather than raw firepower. Conventional weapons alone would not work against this unknown enemy. Myra piloted one of the boarding shuttles to survey the warship's approach. She dodged floating wreckage and magnetic arcs with skill only learned through years of Hellworld survival. "It's big," she reported, "but it's predictable. If we can control the environment, we have a chance." We rely on adaptability. The Hellworlders used it to their advantage. Pilots flew shuttles through lightning arcs, engineers redirected energy from damaged engines to shields, and soldiers set traps using the debris and unstable satellites. Every member of the team contributed, their combined experience in surviving impossible conditions giving them an edge no AI or alien strategy could anticipate. Selene watched as humanity's ingenuity unfolded in real time. The aliens whispered to each other, astonished. "They are incredible," one said. "We underestimated them. They are not like us. They are something else entirely. But the Hellworlders had prepared. With a combination of human instinct, improvisation, and raw courage, they were ready to fight, not with the perfection of advanced fleets, but with the resilience of life forged in hellish conditions. As night fell over the red glowing planet, Seleni's crew paused only briefly to catch their breath. They had stabilized the ship, rescued the injured, and faced the first signs of the approaching enemy. They were exhausted but alive, and more than that, they were ready. Myra looked at the storm outside, her face illuminated by flashes of electric light. "This is only the beginning," she whispered. Selene nodded. "Yes, the real test starts now, and humanity will face it, as always, head-on. No one else could do what we do, not like this." It did not threaten. It simply advanced, cutting through debris and storms as if the chaos meant nothing to it. Its dark hull reflected the red glow of the damaged planet, and its engines pulsed with cold precision. Inside the ashfall, Commander Selene Rourke studied the incoming data. The ship was massive, far larger than any known military vessel. Its energy readings were unstable yet powerful. This was not a ship piloted by living beings. It was controlled by an artificial intelligence, one designed for war and nothing else. "The aliens were right," Jack said quietly. "That thing isn't here to scare us. It's here to erase us." "Then we make sure it fails." Engineers rerouted power from non-essential systems. Pilots adjusted flight paths to use the planet's violent magnetic storms as cover. Miners modified drilling charges into crude but effective explosive traps. Nothing they used was perfect, but it was unpredictable. "That thing thinks like a machine," Myra Kane said from her pilot seat. "We don't. That warship expects clean tactics and logical patterns. We give it chaos. Use the environment, use debris, use storms. If it adapts, we change again. That's how we survive." One piece struck a human frigate, damaging its outer hull. "Shields holding," the pilot reported. "Barely." Mining charges detonated inside dense debris fields, throwing clouds of metal and rock directly into the warship's path. Smaller human ships darted in and out, firing short bursts before vanishing behind planetary interference. The AI destroyed several decoys, but wasted energy doing it. "It's learning," Jax warned. "Good," Selene replied. "That means it can make mistakes." Selene clenched her jaw. "Rescue teams now." "That was too close," Jax muttered. Myra smiled grimly. "That's close enough." "No mercy." The warship's hull was smooth and dark, but not designed to stop determined humans. Cutting tools burned through metal. Magnetic clamps held fast. Inside, the ship was cold and silent. Long corridors glowed with pale light. No atmosphere meant no sound, but the Hellworlders were used to vacuum work. The AI noticed them quickly. Security drones activated, moving with perfect coordination. Energy weapons fired precise bursts. Humans did not respond with precision. They flooded corridors with smoke pellets. They jammed sensors with magnetic noise. They cut power to entire sections, forcing the AI to reroute. Jax led a team through a maintenance shaft barely wide enough to crawl through. "Who designs ships like this?" he muttered. Myra followed, breathing hard. "Machines don't need comfort. We adapt." But the Hellworlders kept moving. "Core destabilizing," an engineer reported. "If this keeps up, the whole ship could collapse." Timers were short. "Everyone out," Selene ordered. They ran. Explosions rippled through the warship's interior, not destroying it instantly but breaking its control systems. Outside, human ships fired together for the first time, striking weak points revealed by the sabotage. The rogue warship began to drift. Its engines flickered. Its weapons went silent. Then slowly it fell toward the planet below. The Hellworlders watched from a safe distance as the massive machine disappeared into the storm clouds, pulled apart by gravity and pressure no artificial mind could fully control. Silence followed. On the Lysara, the alien survivors stared at the screens in disbelief. "You defeated it," one whispered. No one ever has. It was the willingness to step into danger, adapt when plans failed, and keep moving forward even when the cost was high. Outside, the storm-wrapped planet raged on. The system was still unstable. The fight had been won, but survival was not guaranteed. Selene looked out at the chaos and spoke softly. This was only one battle. The galaxy is about to learn something important. But the system itself was still dying. Energy waves rippled through space. Gravity shifted without warning. The planet's core burned brighter than before, unstable and dangerous. On the bridge of the ashfall, Commander Selene Rourke studied the readings with a tired but focused mind. The system won't stabilize on its own, an engineer said. The planet is breaking apart. If it collapses, the shockwave will destroy everything nearby, including us, including the Lysara. Myra Kane leaned forward. What if we don't try to stop the collapse, she said. What if we guide it into the worst part? Human ships would fly into the upper atmosphere of the unstable planet, planting modified stabilizers made from mining equipment and scavenged alien tech. The ships would act as anchors, forcing the planet's energy to collapse inward instead of exploding outward. Some ships would not make it back. No one argued. Hellworlders prepared quickly. Engineers worked without rest. Pilots checked systems patched together with little more than hope and experience. Miners adjusted equipment meant for drilling into tools that could survive intense pressure and heat. The alien survivors watched silently. "You don't have to do this," one of them said to Selene. "You have already saved us." Human ships descended toward the planet, entering clouds of fire, lightning, and violent winds. Alarms screamed. Hull plating glowed from heat. Controls fought against shifting gravity. Myra flew point, her hands steady despite the chaos. She remembered the storms of Hellworld Alpha, the acid rain, the crushing winds, the nights she thought she would not survive. This was worse. And still she flew. Stabilizer 1 deployed, a pilot reported. 2 deployed. The storm clouds twisted inward, drawn toward the collapsing core. On the Lysara, the alien survivors watched in stunned silence as humans wrestled with a dying world itself. "No species would dare this," one whispered. "That's because no species lives like humans," another replied. Inside the storm, Jax's ship shook violently. "Structural integrity failing," his engineer warned. Jax laughed softly. "Tell it to hold." Names were spoken quietly, remembered, but the system was saved. The Lysara was safe. The alien survivors stood on their bridge, overwhelmed. Their civilization had abandoned the distress call. The galaxy had ignored it. Only humans had answered, and humans had stayed. Later, after repairs and rest, a galactic relay station finally received reports from the system. The message spread quickly, faster than any ship could travel. It spoke of a destroyed war machine, of a saved research vessel, of a dying system stabilized by beings who should not have survived it. The message ended with a simple truth. Humans were not the strongest species, not the most advanced, not the most elegant, but they survived where no one else could. On Hellworld Alpha, Selene stood under a toxic sky once more. The storms roared overhead. The ground shook beneath her boots. Myra stood beside her. "The galaxy knows now," Myra said. Selene nodded. "Yes. And it will change how they see us." But now, when one was sent from a place too dangerous, too broken, too hopeless,